me start the recording, Vita?
Done.
Okay, thank you. So we're gonna launch into your OKRs, and actually I'll open up mine and Ara's OKRs to see if these are correct. Now this is important because we are transitioning into a dimension where a lot more weight is going to be on your OKR. So OKRs are now building blocks to promotion reviews. They're sort of also indications of whether or not people deserve bonuses. So they're really important now, and we want to make sure that there's as much clarity about it as possible, especially starting from HR. Okay, so I'll go with mine first, and I'm opening this up for criticism, right? I'm opening up this, and I'm already, actually, I thought about this. I'm self-critical already. And let's see if you guys pick up what I did wrong, or if I did anything wrong on my own. All right, this is taking a second to load. Sorry about that. It's just frustrating. Anyway, in the meantime, I'll put my coffee back. Okay. Hey, Google, volume level 8. Oh yeah, just as a fun statistic, do you know how big the AirPod business is, Ara? You're muted.
It must be so big. I don't know, how do you mean by, how do you scale it?
The size of the business is usually by the market size. Like how many AirPods are being sold each year?
Must be million.
Yeah, AirPod business is an $8 billion business. It is a Fortune 500 company just by itself.
I bet, because like I saw a lot of people use AirPods now. So
Yeah.
like almost, it's like something common now, like not something fancy.
Yeah, it's found time. And we're going to take advantage of it through podcasting, because that's a big new trend. All right, so ladies and ladies, so the theme of the month is to sharpen the saw. And here are my OKRs. Now, the very first part of the OKR process, and I want you guys to think about this too, is when we have a theme, then the first question should be, what should I do, right? And focus on something. So the thing I'd like to focus on is this idea of self-leadership. And one of the most important things about self-leadership is actually your OKR. If you can't lead yourself, then there's not too much to talk about. And I think in our organization, where there's a lot of flexibility, there's a lot of autonomy, it becomes very important to be able to self-lead. So being smart about your OKRs is a very important step to that. Okay, so the very first step is my objective is to get everybody to use SMART and career stage. Actually, sorry, that's not CSA, that's CSM, career stage metrics for their OKRs. And we want to get 100% participation by March 5th. Okay, and the action points are, we've already distributed it, we've announced it on all hands, and that's it. Okay, let's go over to Vita. Is that SMART OKR? Is that a SMART OKR?
I think it's not, in a part of measurable, I don't think it's measurable, because there's no follow-up, like no follow-up actions.
Okay, great. So measurable meaning this, Vita. So is it a result that can be measured? Can I measure 100% participation?
Yeah, I mean, that's what I meant. Like, if you don't know how you follow up, then how do you know that people are actually using the SMART itself?
Easy. So everybody's OKRs are posted on the all hands, supposedly, right?
Yeah. And no, what I meant was, like, there is no action points on what you are showing that you are going to. What are you going to do on on following up what they are using, or
so like a checklist.
maybe, or also maybe I think like by distribute to squad and chapter leads, then what's next? How do you, how are you so sure that, let's say, the squad lead or the chapter leads are going to like the follow up, like to make sure if it's been done, because this is like you're actually delegation, right? Like you're not doing it by yourself, but other people who will do that for you.
Okay, got it. Okay, that's part of the actual goal, right? Is the follow up. The question of measurable is not so much about, like, let's say, what do we do about the follow up to make sure? The follow up is implied in the OKR that you will follow up to make sure that this happens. The measurable means, is it something that we can actually measure, or is it something that is not measurable? Let's say this, right? Let's say I want to make better parties, right? I want to make a more awesome party, and you can that can be an objective. And then the key question is, how would you measure if your party is awesome? You can pick a KPI. You can say my party is awesome if 100 people attend, right? Then it's measurable. You can say my party is awesome because the next time I have a party, there will be 50 people from the last party to attend. So the element of measurable is simply just, do we have a way of actually determining if it succeeded or not? So by the end of the month, all we have to do to determine if this, let's say OKR succeeded or not, is just to look and see, did everybody use the SMART method to actually do this method? If they didn't, then we know that this OKR failed, that essentially it didn't achieve 100% participation. If they did, then it works. So measurable in this context means, is this something that can be measured? The follow-up is implied. The follow-up is implied in every OKR, that you will do something to make sure that this is actually being done. Measurable means, have we actually picked a metric yet that determines the success or not of the OKR? Makes sense? Okay. Is there any other points? So basically what I'm arguing is, I'm saying that this is actually measurable. The question is, will I measure it or not? Right? And that is something we need to do at the end of the month. And maybe that's something that we need to do at the end of every season, right? Every OKR thing, which we haven't been doing. So this hopefully will create that. To make this better, there could be a dashboard, meaning there is like a progression chart showing how much people have participated yet. That would be, I think, a good sign that would indicate that there's milestones built into the measurability. So we can see, okay, how many people participated the first week, how many people participated the next week. Yeah. Okay, that's actually a pretty good idea. I might actually put that in. So we can put in like week. It's taking, wow, week 1 participation. And then like week 2 participation.
I think, sir, since your action point is like to distribute squad and chapter lead, so maybe instead of like week, because we create OKR in the first week, right? So maybe
Right.
instead of week, it could be like by squad or by chapter.
That part has already been done. But then the end result is how many people are using it. So my levers are, yes, I'm working through squad leads and chapter leads, but I still need to see the end result. I mean,
Yeah, I mean,
if I,
by squad is like if everyone in squad one already using this, and then if squad two, if or
oh, right. Okay, all right. That's actually interesting. Okay. Let me think about that. Let me think which way is better, actually. Because if I do that, there might be some overlap, right? Because there's some chapters
yeah,
that also have.
maybe by squad.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Cool. This is a good idea. I think milestones for the key resolve.
So I think when you are tracking down, it's also easier for you to track down, because if by week, meaning that, for example, you go to everyone in the all hands paper, taking a look one by one which one that hasn't used, and then like you go to the person, and it's kind of like overlapping the squad and chapter leads distribution as well. So
Right.
instead of going one by one, you can just go again to the squad and the squad leader, for example, who's in your.
And that would be good top-down leadership. Yeah. Okay, I would agree. All right, next one. Okay, any other comments on this first OKR to get SMART implemented? Nope. Yes. Okay. Let's go to the next one. Next one. This one's interesting. So, the idea is to develop more leadership capability awareness in the company and update processes at Bukit Vista to become more effective through self-learning, discovery, and improvement. Okay. So what we're looking for is 10% leadership improvement and improvement on the ESS. And we've defined a timeline. So we start on January 27th and take a look at everyone's leadership scores then. And then we end on March 15th. And that is what we're looking for. We're looking for a 10% improvement on this particular metric. Okay, any discussion about this particular OKR?
Can you get back to the OKR papers, sir?
Yes.
Going to review LinkedIn learning courses is like with the seniors.
Sorry. Yeah, this is actually should be developing learning courses. Actually, this should be more simple. Yeah, this should be developing learning courses and delegating learning leadership. Okay, so I wrote that in. It's going to take a second to put in. Okay, what about that?
I'm not sure if it's actually achievable and relevant. I mean, relevant between your action points and also the objective, because
Okay.
one thing that is actually like sharply can go for developing this leadership, because it's impacting for the ESS, right? I think what can be done is actually to know first why these people are getting this, and then we just start getting into like what are the things that it needs to be like sharpened from
Good, yeah. Very good. Instead of actually looking at, let's say, across everybody's leadership score, what would I say, being more specific to help each particular person on their particular areas, right? Okay, the question on that is this, though. Do we know what that is? We don't have individual qualitative metrics on leadership deficiencies. So if I go to each leader and I say, hey, look, I'm going to help you. What it is that you think it is that you need to improve on leadership score? They'll give us an answer. But then the counterparty is that the thing that they're being voted down for, right? So let's say, for example, I go to Wyatt. I say, Wyatt, what do you think you need to do in order to become a better leader? And she can say, oh, I need to attend my meetings more on time. But maybe that is not the real reason why people are giving her a lower leadership score. So then yes, I agree. This metric, this indication is not actually a great way of fixing the leadership score. I actually thought about that. So fixing the leadership score is so much more than just about, let's say, sharpening the saw. So maybe that can't be tied to actually that particular metric. And I thought more about this too. And I think it's actually beneficial to actually create the projection first before you actually say, I want a 10% improvement, right? So let's look at, let's say, what a 10% improvement on my score would be. So that's 4.3 times 1.1. That would be a 4.73, which is really high. That's almost all 5s, right? And then let's say in particular, let's say Rafik. Oh, hey, I'm scored higher than Rafik now. 4.27 times 1.1. That's almost a 4.72. And that's never been achieved by any leader here. So once again, I need to really think about whether or not the input of leaders creating more, let's say, training courses and leading development, is that actually going to impact the leadership score that much? Okay. Then the question is this: is there another metric by which we can actually measure what we're doing this month by having more leaders lead learning?
Maybe through the courses that they are opening, and then we're asking for review by the end.
Okay, that could be good. Yeah, that could be rate your instructor on their effectiveness.
Yeah. Also, this not regarding the review though, but like regarding the ESS, right? It could be also sometimes people give like I just want to be honest as well. Sometimes I just give like 3 for the leadership that I don't have the visibility on their leadership because I'm not working directly with them.
Ah, that's a good point. Right? Yeah. What to do in a case where there's no information?
Yeah.
Yeah. There should be a no comment score then, right?
Yeah. Because like 3 is like I mean I put 3 because 3 is like in the middle, like neutral, right? Like I think it's neutral. So
Right. Okay, good point. Good point. That's actually a good insight. We need to do something about that. Ideally, that should be a non-vote because that way, it's there's no information. There's no information. Okay, good. So this is okay. This is really good. So when you set the OKR and it's not specific and it's not correct, then it needs to be refined. So there's a way I can pivot on this one. So I can either pivot to, let's say, we give review scores for each course, and we want, let's say, a 4.5 on each course, or we can maybe say this is part of mentorship, right? And being an effective learning leader is in part of mentorship, and so maybe it's not leadership; it's a mentorship rates. Okay, good analysis on my OKR. Any other analyses? Any other things that make this? Why is it not measured? Wait, you said, Vita, that it was not relevant, and the second one was
not achievable because the objective and the key result, the actions are not relevant to one another. So therefore, it wouldn't be achievable.
interesting. Okay, fantastic points. This needs to be highly refined by all of us in order for this culture to propagate through the rest of the company. So this is good. Thank you for sharing that feedback with me. All right, let's go to the next one. Let's go to take a look at Ara's OKRs. Okay, Ara, I'll let you open yourself up for criticism. Go for it.
Okay, so basically the first one is the same sih about apa sama punyanya Jing. It's about apa ya, increase the brand awareness of using smart method itself. And the things that I'm doing is more specific. Is that I'm contacting all the leads and squad leads to actually reviewing their team members OKR. So far, it's just HR that we already discussed back on Tuesday on the previous sync up about our OKRs. And then content is going to be today. I set a schedule with Diba to actually discuss about content chapters OKR. And there will be host reservation and also MB in the future. So that's about my first OKR. And then the second one is about hiring. I already, so far I divided to 2 tranches, which is first and second week. I said it on the first week, I have to get like minimum 15 candidates for each roles. I mean, 15 is already like all of them, like OGS, content, and finance. And then by second week, hopefully that I will get 50% of people that is on the second interview. Things pretty much like that. And so far that is ongoing is finance, and there is 1 candidate in finance, 1 candidate in content. And then the last one is about the learning material courses, about recruiting course. So most likely, so far my plan, I will hold it in 11, 12, and 13th of February. And now I'm in the phase of gather materials. So yeah, that's pretty much it from me. Maybe do you have any feedback, Vita, for that?
Hey, I need to move. There's spraying termite juice everywhere. Wait, give me a second.
Okay.
Right. Oh, wait.
Gimana, Babs?
Okay. Sorry. Termite juice everywhere.
Your juice.
No, not my jizz. Remember the roof is caving in?
Yeah.
So what's happening now is they're spraying for termites. It's kind of annoying. Okay, wait. Let me see if I can get set up. Sorry, guys. I'm really loud. Okay. All right. Let's go to Vita. Is there any comments on Ara's OKRs?
If you can go back to the first OKR, sir.
Yes, I can. Oh, yes, I got reset up. I'm in the squad now. Let's see. All right. Yes. Can you see that?
Yes.
Okay. Can you see me?
No, you're freezing.
Oh, man. Okay. All right. Maybe I'll unfreeze after a while. All right. I'm in the dark, just like incognito style. I don't know. I changed the computer, so maybe what I'll do is I'll reload. Okay, I'll reload.
Yes.
Hi. Okay. The loveliest team. All right. So let's go to the first OKR then. Over to Vita for commentary.
So on Ara's key result is to who?
To everyone.
Maybe that could be like more like you put that writtenly there, like it's 100% smart method by 29th of February to everyone, because like even if like you're just saying like setting up 100% smart method, if let's say to keep taking a look at our own OKR, it's already 100% smart because we've been reviewing it, meaning like one OKR even like it's already smart. It's already using 100% smart method, right? Is that and also like 100% smart is means that it's just a question, like meaning that everyone's OKR is already smart.
Yes.
Okay.
Because for now, I still see like per yesterday, even like Rizal and Gani have difficulties on making the actual smart OKR. So then we reviewed results. I reviewed results and Gani's OKR yesterday. So today I'll talk to Diba. So yeah, that's what I mean by 100% smart is everybody using an actual and right smart.
Okay, thank you, Vita, for that comment. Yes, I would agree with that comment, actually. So the idea of what does 100% smart mean? Does it mean that there's participation? Does it mean that they're all smart compliant? I would drill down a little bit with some bullet points on what that 100% actually delivers. So let's say for a company, we say we want to have 100% revenue, right? What does that actually mean? What does 100% revenue mean? So kind of break it down into a measurable chunk. What particular thing are we looking to get 100% on? And that would make it better. The second thing I want to emphasize is I do like how this OKR is actually supporting my OKR. So part of the way that successful OKRs are supposed to be run is that each OKR supports the visionary OKR. So let's say sharpening the saw is the overall OKR. But then it would be my job as CEO to break that down into what we mean by sharpen the saw. Like sharpen the saw is more about, let's say, self-leadership, right? But then each kind of breakdown supports self-leadership. This is kind of a repeat of my OKR, but it sort of also reinforces it. It sort of covers the who, as Vita was asking. who will this be applied to? I think R and I could coordinate a little bit better to decide, how we distribute this and who covers what, so that maybe we don't have double coverage on this. But ideally, an OKR should not be up to everybody's interpretation every direction. That's not alignment, right? It should be kind of chunked together. Like, let's say at executive level, an OKR is about self-learning. Then maybe a squad lead. The squad lead thinks about, what is it that my squad really needs to learn about in order to make them more effective? Chapter, what is it my chapter really needs to learn about to make them more effective? How can I impart self-learning to them so that they know how to sharpen their saws on their own? And then rolling out each program for each person down to, let's say, the intern. How does an intern sharpen their own saws so that they know what to do? Okay, so credit for the support, but also criticism on the who and the how, right? On this particular dimension. Okay, next one. Let's go to our second OKR, which is fulfilling the hiring SLA, which is good. That's one of our constant duties here. Any feedback on this? Let's go to Vita first.
So your target is online guest support, content creator, and financial. So my question is, what will be your backup in case finance, this William Alvin Chandra cannot proceed, like let's say after onset trials or anything that happened that he cannot proceed? Because right now, the one handling finance is me, right, on our job post. So I mean, what will be your actions to fulfill that?
Sir, do we have job ads in Job Street for finance?
All right, the job ads are back after that whole really dumb discussion with Dion. So we do have the credits now. So it's just a matter of posting.
Okay, so the credit is here, but haven't posted yet, yeah?
Yeah.
Okay, so then in this case, I'd like to ask you guys, what are the job ads that can be posted on Job Street? Any advice?
Before we go into that, I would actually like to emphasize, I think there's a really good point Lisa's bringing up here, which is if we want to get right, I don't think we can target one person. We should probably target 2 or 3. I'll give you an example right now. Like for data science, I have 3 candidates right now, and they are all highly motivated and willing to do this job, right? We got Lilith, who's already passed the on-site trials. I got 2 more candidates as backup in case Lilith doesn't go through. So let's say, for example, I want to hire Lilith to do data science. Then let's say things don't work out, I already have 2 more people ready, so that I just give them a call and I say, okay, all right, you can come off for on-site trials now. So that greatly improves my probability of being able to deliver on an SLA of, let's say, getting a candidate delivered for this particular role within a certain time. So let's say for finance, you got William Alvin Chandra, but he can't be the only person in the pipeline right now, or whatever it is. It could be, once again, the attraction, the timing, or the selection. If it's an attraction issue, then yes, we need to put more ads to get more candidates in the pipeline. If it's a timing issue, meaning that we have people in the pipeline, then we need to accelerate them towards the end, right? As many as possible towards the end. If it's a selection issue, then we need to make a decision like who we want to put in. Does that make sense? Okay, yes to all.
Kan itu current status. I've already put it on my activity that I'm going to put 5%, 15% minimum candidates for each roles in the pipeline. So that's how it's gonna done. I mean, for now, yes, it's only William and Maharatri, but I have backup for any other 4 candidates for each role.
Fantastic, that's great. I think what Vita is asking for, and I see this is pretty consistent, is visibility, right? So part of this is a good practice. This is very, very good. So one of the key problems I see that we have a lot of time when we do projects is that we're kind of waiting for the miracle at the end, right? So we work a whole month on the project, and we only measure at the very end were we successful. But if you actually bring the measurements closer to you and closer to seeing if you're making that progress, I think it's really good. It allows for that, oh, am I actually getting closer or further away? And it allows you to correlate your actions closer. So as a suggestion, if let's say, for example, you have one OGS per Changu, it would be really good if, let's say, you could put this, right? Like, I'm trying to get my thing here. Maybe put 3 check marks on who is the first most likely candidate to be there, who is the second, and who is the third. Just right there on the top of your OKRs, so that you're conscious of your own milestones, right? And if you're making progress towards those milestones. So let's say, for example, here, maybe like a checkbox going, this is my primary candidate. This is first pick, second pick, and third pick. Waiting for the text to expand, or waiting for the text to go through. That way, you'll know yourself if how that looks like. I know that information might be incorporated over here in the 15 candidates in the pipeline, but if you move those 15 candidates at, let's say, a milestone behind each role, then I think that visibility will be highly beneficial for everyone on the chapter, on yourself, and so. What do you think about that, Ara?
I'm not sure on how to you put first pick, second pick, third pick.
It's exactly what you have now for finance, William Alvachandra. So he's the first pick right now for finance. He's the first person that is in the pipeline for that. Who's the second person? And who's the third person, right? So then we can all know this is another refinement of SMART method, right? So why do we use SMART? Because it allows us to look at milestones within a person's OKR. Now, this is a milestone within the milestone. So if you know that, let's say we have a risk, it's a 50-50 whether or not when we hire people, whether they'll be successful or not, then the responsible way to manage that risk is to have backups. Then it's then the goal to have, let's say, 2 backups for every person who is at the top of the funnel. And it's important to then see the funnel. Does that make sense? Okay.
Yes.
I think this is good. This is a refinement. This is criticism, and this is coming from a good place that allows us to see more clearly and have more transparency, which is good. And you know what? I think we can apply this to all hiring staff.
What's that?
All hiring should have hiring OKR should have 2 alternatives in case the first person doesn't show up. So I would say if you're looking to hire 1, then pipeline at least 3, so that way there is we know we have a reasonable probability of success on delivering the SLA. Sound good? Okay, all right, good feedback. So basically, I think you have it, Ara. I think it's already here in the 15 minimum people in the pipeline. I think the comment is just to move some of this people in the pipeline up here so that we can see how deep your pipelines are for each particular candidate, for each particular role. Okay, last one on the learning, the learning leadership. So helping each team member to recruit new members. Okay, great. Gather materials, hold the recording course. I'll start first with the comments here. Introduction to persuasion and negotiation, homework and self-study, and being proactive and refinement. Okay, the key results are getting attendees to understand the framework of recruiting. Okay, giving tips to attendees to detect red flags, and attendees collect evidence from candidate. Okay, great. The thing is, okay, the actions are gathering materials and set up schedules for classes. Okay, all right. On this particular one, these key results are hard to measure, right? So how will you measure that the attendees, they understand the framework of recruiting? And how will you measure whether or not, remember, we're not measuring necessarily activities, right? This one, giving tips to attendees, is an activity. So what is the result that will happen from this activity? Which is, after you give them the tips, what's going to happen next? Are they going to be able to, let's say, screen more successfully? Are they going to be able to spend less time, interviewing? Will there be less failures for on-site trials? So these are, I think, key results, whereas giving the tips are more like, for this matter, they're more like activities. Attendees collect evidence from candidate. This one you're going to have to tell me what this means, Ara.
Okay, so basically, because it's just a class, so how I see it is just getting, because basically, like the very basic when we're hiring is like we're looking for three things, right? Bias to action, self-learner. So in that basic things, I don't think all the team know. So it's actually as simple as that, starting in a very basic level. Like I just want to deliver what is the basic things that we're looking for from a candidate, and how do we actually detect red flags, like the very basic one. So actually just that, not like until like we screen better or no one will fail on site trials, because that will take like too much like time spent, right? Because we don't know like when is the next when is the next candidate going to have on-site trials, and like who is going to be like have the on-site trials for this person, because people that is actually assigned to this class is just Cynthia, Diba, Nangli, and Vita, right? And Nadine, I think. So like what if Chandra is the one that is going to do like on-site trials and screen CT for the next one? We just cannot be measured really apa ya, in the meantime, because there's only like few candidates at time. So the things that I like to measure is just basically how they know, the attendees knows what I delivered, understand what I delivered about basic things.
Okay, and how will you know that?
Basically, I don't know, like if I said something like it's already been delivered, and like I know it's hard to measure, but like I don't think having a test is also going to be like necessary in this case.
Okay, this point I have to disagree on that. And the reason is because there's a lot of things that we say and people will go, but we really don't know, did they understand it? Did they actually, are they, it's so many more things, right, than just delivering the information. Did they understand it? And second, are they able to apply it? And then third, does it actually have impact on key processes? So the whole process of, let's say, mentorship and learning is just really the beginning of an extended process. It's highly relevant as you are a student in university right now. When you have, let's say, criticism about a professor or about whatever, because they're not teaching stuff that's, let's say, relevant to real life. Break down that feeling, break down that idea, and ask yourself, how could they actually impact my career, my work more directly? Think about that. So you're going to a lecture, you're listening to a person talk, right? And you might absorb 20% of that, right? They know that they're telling 100%, but you might get 20%. And then by 6 months later, you might practice 1% of that. So it's very lofty in terms of what they've said versus what you've been able to actually practice. So think about that in terms of how you structure your course. This is why we do things through, let's say, Socratic learning. This is why we follow up. This is, it's not just about, oh, the package has been delivered and it's up to the student to actually, learn. I think it's more like, have we actually delivered the message in a way that this person can now do something differently? And that's what sharpening a saw should mean. It means that the saw is actually now sharp. You can feel like you're sharpening a saw all day long, right? You can be like, and then maybe it's not sharper. Maybe it's actually more blunt than it was before. So think about objectively, what's the key takeaway you want the people in your course to do? Do you want them to be able to select better? There's a lot of benefits to selecting better. We spend less time on on-site trials or doing whatever for people who are not good selection. So there's a lot of benefit for everybody who's on these on your courses. Help that, right? Hey, look, my benefit is you won't need to screen anybody who is not worth your time to screen anymore. And I'm going to show you 6 ways that you can tell that. And perhaps the measurement is that people pick up on the red flags, like they flag candidates. You go, hey, look, this person should not be screened. They're high risk. And so that can be, just as a suggestion, that can be one of the ways to measure that. Okay, back to you, Ara.
Okay, so usually like it at school when it's like basically like school, like course. I took course at school. So what happened in school is every time that teachers deliver something, there's always be a test, right? So I think that if it's really want to be measured that way, then I have to like hold a test. A test doesn't always mean to be like written. It can be like when I hold the class and then I ask them and they can actually, when I'm thinking to have simulation actually by the end of the day, so that let's see if everybody can get the simulation thing better or good. So in that case, how do we actually say it in the paper, like the simulation stuff itself, so people can actually answer or do the simulation? Like then there will be a question like, what simulation? How are you going to do the simulation?
Over to Vita. What do you think about this simulation idea?
Can you go like more specific on the simulation as well? Like, is it like the one that we do usually?
The simulation is like what we did in Bali when Jing was like, okay, Ara, you're going to be the one that being interviewed, and Vita is going to be the one that interview you. So let's see if Vita get what are the questions Vita's going to ask you. Is it like already detecting reflex like bias to action, self-learner, mind growth mindset? I think I'm gonna focus on the 3 particular things because rather than like education background and everything, I'm going to focus on telling people that these 3 things is major thing that we're looking for from a candidate.
Okay. Over to you, Vita, again.
My major is because I'm also signing up to your class, right, on this recruiting. So it's kind of like not what I'm looking for because I'm already like looking to that actually. I mean, like we have done that in HR. So my concern is whether or not that's also what they want to see in. Is it like going to be like general recruitment process, or is it going to be Bukit Vista recruitment process, things like that? That now is being my concern. But if we are taking a look at your OKR, I think you need to be specific as well on like helping each team member to recruit new member. It means like the key result will be these people who attend your class will eventually recruit a new member, right? So and then also I'm not sure like why is that like the introduction to persuasion and negotiation is there.
Yeah, that's Jing's template actually for entrepreneurship class.
Copy paste.
Yeah, copy paste.
Okay.
So then, should I like do a pre-test on people that attend my class? What exactly you'd like to learn about recruiting?
I think can be like during the introduction class, right? Like what you can ask, like, what do you expect on this class? What do you want to learn? Because that's
So
what
then,
we did also in taxation learning class. On our first meeting, we just like met for setting up the time and also asking the people. Risky asked the attendees like, what do you want to get actually from this class? So he can because Risky's plan is actually to have that like every week, once a week, so he can design like the class.
I see. Okay then. Okay then, I'll have the first meeting together with all the attendees on what they want to learn.
Okay. All right. Let me also offer. I agree with Vita on this particular idea. If you can crowdsource what the objective is, and that's actually pretty good. You can go to each person and you can say, what's been the most disappointing sort of circumstance that you've been facing in recruiting? I'm sure everybody's been through it, right? We've trained people, they didn't pass trials, they've done this, and it didn't work out. So understand what other pain points maybe they have, and then implement your course to reduce these pain points, right? So that's sharpening the saw. So I'm going to sharpen this off for you guys by making it so that every person can actually evaluate and select candidates using less of their own time, right? That could be a great objective. I'm going to reduce the amount of time that we've spent on on-site trials to figure out that a candidate is not a qualified candidate through teaching you this course. Part of it, Vito, I think we already know. This part might be where it's a little bit different from crowdsourcing to being more like a doctor. So a doctor kind of, like if you ask a patient, hey, what's wrong with you, right? They're like, I don't know, I just don't feel very good, right? I'm sick. Okay, so let me deal with your symptoms, and so you don't feel sick anymore. So that doesn't fundamentally fix the illness. That doesn't fundamentally address the key part that's not right. So with certain things, yes, it's about like asking, what do you want to learn, and here's how to fix it. Certain other things, if we know that, hey, we've taken a look at it, and a lot of candidates, they come for on-site trials and they don't accept the offer, or they come for on-site trials and they don't pass. Now, we should then just tell them, hey, look, this is the thing that we look for, and these are red flags, and we detect them. Then you know that this candidate should probably not continue to the next day of on-site trials. Or here's a way to screen the CV on your phone interview, see if there's any red flags in that, and then you decide whether or not, hey, this is a good fit for your team, right? So part of it, I think, is we can let's say diagnose the problem, that we can prescribe the solution. Part of it is understanding what their pain points are. If there's any blind spots that we can't see. Okay, so on this one, recruiting is pretty standard. Recruiting, there's courses for, there's things for. The objectives are, for the most part, pretty standard. People want high quality people. They don't want to spend too much time spending on recruiting. They want to see them pick up the slack, right? So for the end product, which is a great teammate, it's undeniable for most people, right? Yeah, that's what I want. I want a great teammate. I don't want to spend too much time doing this. So anything that brings that result, okay. I'm going to ask for, are you guys busy today?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. We're almost out of time, and we haven't even gotten to Vista's OKR yet. But I think this part is really important, because this is the key part to sharpening everyone's saw, is being able to be very, very thorough about your OKRs. So I'm going to ask for 15 more minutes, and we're going to need to postpone the Thursday discussion to Saturday. The good part is, on the Thursday discussion, I don't see a lot of key. Okay, yeah. All right.
But sir, I have meeting with Diba in 5 minutes.
Okay, that's why I said we'll try to finish this in the next 5. Okay, let's take a look at Vista's OKR, which we wrote some comments on the last one. Okay, let's see. The very first thing Vista has put down is to focus on the career pathway. So the action has been to present the plan for Squad 1 on the offsite meeting, pitch the company pathway for the company needs, Squad 1 member one-on-one, and create the benchmark and definition of career stage for each promotion review. All right. The key result will benchmark and definition of each career stage. Each Squad 1 has planned to focus on the career path and FY 2020 Squad 1 talent planning. Okay, so let's just go over some of the feedback real quick on this and see where we are. The feedback I wrote down was these comments are not specific. What is exactly a focused plan? What does talent planning mean? So when we talk about, let's come up with a plan. Plan is never a key result. A plan is a bridge to get you to that key result. So if, let's say, as a leader, I'm saying we need to cross the river. A plan isn't, we're going to build a bridge. A plan is we're going to build a bridge. A key result is we will cross the river in 30 days. So much planning it's just that tool that you're going to use to get to that result. So the question is, how do we actually get people on Squad 1? What is the key result of more focused career pathway? What do we want to see? We want to see, let's say, the next promotion reviews from, I don't know, we want to see more on-time promotion reviews, right? We want to see less failure on a promotion. That could be a key result. So in the past, 3 promotions were proposed, only 2 went. It could be the next time every promotion review succeeds, right? So that's measurable, and that would indicate that a key result had been done. It could be like, yeah, people are creating more incredible work, right? That the projects on Squad 1 get rated as being the finest project in Bukit Vista, right? Or it could be, I don't know, it could be like the highest achievement record. And there are more high impact projects and more new processes being produced for this team. So it could be that. It could be like Squad 1 invents 3 new PCE practical foods that have never been done here at the company. And of course, if people are getting PCE credit, that really helps with their progression. So that brings a key result home. So remember,
Freezing.
okay, sorry, we're back. Okay, next part is it has to be measurable. So how much by what time? A plan is never measurable. A plan is either done or not done. It's kind of like copywriting, right? And so we're like, the only way that we measure is it done by a certain time? But a plan could be not a good plan, and it's still delivered, but it doesn't create the result that we want. So how do we measure a plan? Once again, by the results. What your results has this plan produced? And there is no result unless there's a risk of failure. So unless we say that there's a clear way to fail, it's not really a real result. So a plan can be delivered with no risk of failing. Like, hey, look, here's the plan. Once again, then it doesn't tie to the result. And once again, back to the idea. Okay, so Vista, I'll let you come up with a way to pivot that so that the result becomes a little bit more crystalline and clear and measurable too. Yeah? Okay, the next one, learning on leadership. So the objective is to, I'm not sure what this means, learning on leadership. Does it mean you want to learn on leadership, or you want to create leadership culture, learning leadership culture?
It's on me on sharpening my own soul, like to learn on leadership. So
Okay.
the objective actually, it's kind of like a 2 milestones here. Like by leadership, meaning that I can actually like delegate some of the works, meaning that where we'll be able to hire 1 new talent recruiter, so that this new talent recruiter, I will be, let's say, I'll be the one who becomes like the project champions to lead, to train them and everything. So then by a month after being hired, this new talent recruiter is able to follow PCI, meaning that I've achieved my goal to learn on leadership things.
Great. Okay, so this one, the key result is super easy now. It's just LC, right? And PJC. So to demonstrate leadership competency, we already have the metrics and the key things that are there. It needs to also go back to, let's say, we really need to think about what our jobs are in recruiting and how we measure success in recruiting. The easiest way to measure success in recruiting is think about the SLAs. What is the time to hire, and what is the chances of, what is the percentage of successful hires versus unsuccessful hires? We know recruiting is very much, we can't control everything. It's a little bit of a it's a black art. So then the question is, what is your statistics, right? And I think the very first job is to define what those statistics should be for your successor. So my successor, if well-trained, should get as good or even better statistics than mine. That would be a very good indication of leadership competency. It's like, it took me on average 38 days to hire a person. The person I train is able to hire in 18. And I got on average, 60% people to pass their first promotion review. My successor got 80%, right? So then that would then have clear metrics to define what progress is and what leadership looks like too as well. Leadership means the people you produce should fundamentally be better than you at the task that you're doing, right? So get that in and think about how to strengthen that. Okay, last one, and then we need to go. Last one is on Squad 2 host coverage. Okay, a host for Squad 2 is, yes, it's a good key result, but once again, we need, when will this be done, right? So what's the time frame to this? Like within 18 days, within 38 days, within what's the, so we can cut off the timeline. And also, I think the objective itself is maybe too transitional and maybe not too transactional and not inspirational enough, right? So getting a person is, let's say, easy. We can get any person to fill the shoes, but thinking about what we're really doing by getting.
Sure, sorry, I have to leave.
Okay, all right. Let you go. All right, have a good talk with you about OKRs. Okay, so this one about filling a role is, let's think about the bigger picture. Why do we want to fill a role, right? And the bigger picture might be we want to, fill the expansion mission of the squad. So when we frame it that way, then it becomes a lot more clear, I think, about what type of person we need to hire for that role. If it's just a placeholder, and it's just, okay, we need a body to fit that in, okay, fine. Maybe that's what we need to do for the moment. But if it's like a little bit more inspirational, yeah, we're hiring a person for that Squad 2 can continue on their growth trajectory and land Changgu. So then that would be a more beautiful objective in a way. Okay, so definitely think about how the relevancy applies to the action that we're going to take, and that's that. Okay, since it's just, how much time do you have?
My next interview is in 1 hour.
Okay, all right. Let's keep on going. Next one, if we may. So I'll ask 20 more minutes. Yeah.
Yeah, sure.
Okay, great. The next one is improve the recruitment process. Great idea. Fantastic way to sharpen this up. So reading LI materials, great. What kind of materials, right? What sort of, once again, this is great because I can kind of see like the transparency thing, like what sort of are going to be the milestone that bring this type of result, this kind of action, and meeting experts on HR. So who are these experts? Why are they experts? When are we going to meet them? And that's good. Look, OKRs are meant to be evolutionary. When we first set them, like after you gave me that feedback, I realized it's not set right, and I need to pivot, and that's perfectly okay. It's just practice to actually. The whole point of making ours is practice on refining a vision. So a vision means that you can kind of see to each detail what you're going to do, so it becomes crystal clear. When your vision is crystal clear, it becomes clear for everyone around you what is going to happen. And that helps leadership capability too as well. So in this particular thing, it is okay. We're still practicing OKR. I'm not even great at OKR yet. So the whole thing is, it's not like being nitpicking, it's not whatever. It's more like, can we actually refine the vision so that, let's say on the first try, you can see exactly who you need to talk to, why you need to talk to them, when you need to talk to them, right? You can see what material you need to get, why you qualify as good material, and when you need to actually digest that material. Okay, so on the action points, great. But who is Arthur? All right, who is Patricia Tan, and who is Scott Vinny, and why are they experts on recruiting? Are they able to reduce hiring time? Are they able to select more accurately? Have they built great teams? So I think these could be good qualifying questions. Maybe they haven't, but it's still good to get some knowledge and figure out what are their metrics for success in recruiting, right? So when we talk to people, let's have a plan for what we want to learn about that. Improving the recruiting process. Okay, once again, 10 new articles on LI Learning Read. Great. But once again, it's a bridge, right? It's, once again, this is a bridge. Now, you can read one article, and that impact might have way more than reading 100 articles, So what is that impact? That impact could be recruiting more confidently, right? What does that mean? Less people who resign, right? More people who don't pass trials. Higher accuracy rate. So I think the very first step to actually improving the recruiting process, what are the metrics of success, right? Like, what are we really using if we're recruiting well?
You're freezing, sir.
Wait for a second. Let me reload. Am I good now?
Yes, you're good now.
So too early to say, it's kind of like we need an architect first. We need to say, this is the shape of the building, and this is what we're going to build. Otherwise, what we do is we go and we gather glass, we gather wood, we get concrete, and we say, yeah, we have like 5 tons of glass, we have 10 tons of concrete, we have 20 tons of wood, and yes, that's great, but where's the house, right? This stuff is all there. Yes, we have a lot of learning materials. Yes, we have a lot of discussions, but what are we trying to do? So the very first part of that is define your metrics. So it starts with better recruitment process. What does improved recruitment process actually look like? And then work your ingredients up to that thing. So improve actual hiring time by 10%. That's great. That's fantastic. What is your current hiring time? Right.
So I need to put that on.
We should probably know. We should probably know what our current hiring time is. You can begin from whatever day we can start measuring.
I did already count that, right, sir?
You did, right?
So I can put that in.
Right. But then you need to pick your correct statistic, right? Is it the median hiring time? Is it the average hiring time? What specific metric do you want to improve? If we don't pick a specific metric, then we'll always be successful, right? Because we can just say, yeah, we improved the average hiring time, or we improved the median hiring time. But we need to say, all right, we want to improve median hiring time by 10%. And currently, it's 18 days. So if we can bring it to 16 days, then that is a 10% improvement, and that's great. Okay, so how do we get that stuff there? Okay, let me drill down on this one with you, because I think this is actually really the key focus of your OKRs for this month, because this is the way that we sharpen the saw the most. Reading LI materials. Where will you go to find good LI materials?
Where or when, sir?
Where will you go?
Oh.
Where will you go?
LI means actually LinkedIn, so on the LinkedIn Learning.
Okay, all right. I thought this was leadership involvement. All right.
On LinkedIn.
Great. And what type of materials are you going to be trying to digest?
Since the output is actually on like the timing, so I'm gonna actually look for all the things like how do I say included in like recruitment, like what are the things that affect recruitments, and then also where, for example.
I got your back. I've already found that. So I was pre-screening a lot of the LinkedIn. I've been watching videos at work. Some videos are entertaining, some videos are learning. So this was one I found, and it's really good. It's recruiting foundations. So I think it's this guy, he gives a class on all the basics of recruiting. Now this is stuff that maybe Ara will cover, maybe she won't cover it in her course, but I think if you want to have more control over, let's say, where your learning goes, then definitely study this. This is excellent material. I think it's very, very sharp, it's very useful, and I got more. Do you watch Masterclass?
I did.
Okay. Did you watch Sarah Blakely?
No.
Okay. Sarah, do you know this company called Spanx? Oh, wow. Spanx by Sarah Blakely. That's hilarious. She put her name up on there. Okay. Spanx sells this. I don't know what these are, but I only found about this through Masterclass. Sarah Blakely became a billionaire in less than 10 years selling this. So leggings and contour, and I don't know what, I guess this is a corset, right? Or whatever it might be. But in her masterclass, she talks about hiring, and very objectively. And Anna Winters also talks about hiring and recruiting and training and mentoring. And they seem to all agree on a few things, right? They seem to all agree that it is partially luck. It is partially like 50-50. And I think that's a good thing to keep in mind, because if you know that recruiting is 50-50, then you know that you're also in a high-risk situation. No matter what you do, there's a 50% chance of failure, despite your best effort. So then all it is when you cannot predict the results is about risk management. It is about knowing your control. What can you control? So I think I had this discussion with Ara on the last one, and I thought it was actually pretty good. I got an insight actually from revenue management the other day. So we were going around in revenue management, and we were talking about what makes a revenue manager good at their job, right? His or her job. What makes a revenue manager good at his or her job? So then we thought, and we realized that, what does a revenue manager actually do? What sort of control do they actually have? Let's take a test. What do you think the revenue manager can do?
Can do?
Yeah, what is their control?
Inventory?
They don't really control the inventory. I guess they look at the inventory, but they can't control how much inventory gets sold, or that's kind of up to the client, right? You can see cases where we give discounts and we still can't sell it, right? So we don't have control over that. We can't make inventory sell, and we cannot create more new inventory from a revenue management perspective. So they don't have full control on inventory. What else do they have? What do they really have control of?
The price?
Yes, they control price, right? Within reason. Not any price they want, but according to what the owner might expect. They control price. What else do they control?
Price and no, they don't control the income because they don't know.
They don't know. They can't control income because that's up to the guest to buy and do that. So they can only maybe create the best circumstance, but it's still up to the other person to actually do the job of, do the other part, which is to buy the limo. But they do control one other thing, and they have a lot of control on that. Price and
is it the partner?
yes, in certain ways they can. Through the process of creating a forecast, you can actually help create partner expectations, and that allows for more control on your price, right? So, but there's another factor that's really important.
Clue.
It's to do with what they do every day, right? It's what happens. It's a clock. It's timing. They control timing. They control when to raise the price. They control when to lower the price. So that's it. A revenue manager only has 2 degrees of control. They control the price, and they control when they want to implement that price. And that's it. There's no other further controls. They cannot drag, let's say, more Chinese people to book, right? They can't drag more Romanian people to book. They can't control the weekly sales. They can allow for the best conditions to happen for weekly sales. But that's it. They just control the situation. They control the conditions that allow for the highest potential. So let's go to HR now. HR, do we have control whether or not a person will be promoted or not?
Not really.
Unless it's related to a few things that we do control, right? Selection. We control the selection of candidates. We decide who gets an interview. We decide who gets a second interview. We decide who gets a third. We decide who comes from the trials. We decide who we hire. So we control the selection process, and that's a lot of control, right? So we can control whether or not a person gets promoted or not from how carefully and how thoroughly we select. So that's our method of control. But what else can we control? What else do we control?
Controls at our like their environment comfort.
Kind of, right? It's that's sort of there, but it's yeah. I guess we can kind of control that. We can control, let's say, the employee experience to a certain degree. We don't have a high amount of control over that for two reasons. One, we don't know whether or not the things we do matter to the people who are here, right?
Mm.
Matters to one person might not matter to another, but yet we only have one way of doing it: lunch. Some people might love lunch. Some people might not love lunch at all. Maybe they don't like eating the food that's here. So we don't have full control over whether or not that has the most impact on their happiness. Um, the office environment, we can't really say. We are a little bit more flexible. We're allowing remote working, so that does allow for people to choose their office environment or whatever environment works best for them. So kind of, but like the environment is, we do one thing to fit everyone, and that never has. That's actually kind of a lack of control in that way, because we don't know whether or not that has specific impact to a particular person. So yes and no. We do control the employee experience to a certain extent, but we don't have micro fine control over whether or not that has the right impact. Okay, what's the next thing? It's the same thing that revenue managers have. We share the same control that revenue managers have. We have control over the
Timing.
absolutely. We decide when we want to get back to a candidate. We decide who we want to call. Candidates generally do not proactively reach out to us. So we control when, how, what time we want to meet candidates. So we have a lot of control over the timing. We have almost absolute control over the timing. There are very few candidates who will say no to a job offer or to a job discussion. It is not like Nali's job, right? Where most people just say no because it's not that urgent. For HR, you do have a higher percentage of people who will say, yes, I want to have a discussion with you about my future career. So we do have a lot of control over the timing. One last thing. What is one thing that we have?
What about like in the case of, for example, when we invite them for on-site trials, for example, right? And then they kind of like negotiate, oh, can I do it like later? So is that still the case that we can control the timing?
Yes and no. I mean, you can say it is either this week or nothing, right? It can be part of the selection process. You don't control the full timing, let's say, it's a human after all. But you do have a lot of timing control. You are free to reach out to any candidate who has given you their contact. You're free to reach out to any candidate in the world, right? Through LinkedIn, whatever you want. Like you control exactly when that process begins. You control when the follow-up begins. You control when they can come in too. Let's say they can't come, but you can say next week you can. So it's not like, let's say, for example, if you had no control over timing, that would be like the candidate has no control over timing. Okay? The candidate has very little, the secret. So if you're rated, let's control, right? Learn to understand timing very, very well about what is the decay between the first and second contact. What is the percentage of people who, I don't know, when is the best time to actually get back to a candidate for on-site trials? You all have control over when you start these discussions. You might not have control over where the discussion will go, right? But you have to control when that begins. It's exactly the same like revenue management. We control timing when we want to initiate a discount. Now, discount might or might not be picked up fast. That's the same way that timing is controlled by HR. Yes, you know what time you want to invite on for on-site trials, but it is still up to the candidate to decide, when they want to actually come, right? So in this way, I would say you have timing control over when you want to initiate any action. Whereas the candidate has no control over when they want to initiate the action. I want to be hired today. Well, you need a selection process. You need to talk to them. So they don't have any control over that. But we do. First person today, we can say that. That's just up to the candidate, but we can actually make that decision. So utilizing timing and understanding timing has a lot to do with, I think, success in HR. Okay, one last thing we have some control over. Last thing that we have control over is
the type of the candidate that we want to hire.
We need control over that, right? Like people come when they come. I guess we can select on maybe recommend matches on LinkedIn to look for candidates with a fit. But generally, we don't really have to do something, which kind of is related to the last thing.
Sorry, sir, you were breaking before.
Okay, we have one last lever of control that helps us get the candidates that we want.
The trials?
That's our selection. That's the very first control.
I'm not sure, sir.
It's our attractiveness, right? We
Our
control attractiveness.
Attractiveness.
Right. So we can put on makeup, we can put on, and we can go to the ball and hope somebody could come back to us. So this is something we control over. We can pay for ads. We can improve our LinkedIn. We can, put ads on employee experience videos, right? So we can improve our attractiveness such that helps attract more candidates in. Attractiveness does not mean you will necessarily get the right people. It just means that it's something that you have control over, right? And you can increase your chances that more people will be attracted to this company. Those are pretty much it. We control over our attractiveness, we have control over our timing, and we have control over selection methods. And that's it. That's pretty much all we have direct. We further on, yes, the employee experience, we have some control over, team events, office environment, compensation. These are post-hire. But pre-hire, these are the only three things we have. So, brings me to the point. Whatever you do, make sure that it has impact on these 3 points. Because working on anything that is not related to these 3 points is effectively useless. Trying to do something that does not improve the selection method, does not improve the hiring method, does not improve the attrition, ultimately won't really impact because it's working. And that allows you to relax too a little bit. Allows you to relax because you can go, if I've done my job, if I've made the selection to produce the least amount of risk, if I've timed it so that I have the highest probability of closing a candidate within the narrowest timing frame, if I've made our company decidedly more attractive than any other company out there, then I've done my best. And there was no other thing that I could have done. And this we just need to account for as part of risk, because we can't, we can't measure this, right? This is outside of our capability. So that I think is fundamentally valuable to improving the recruiting process. So that part I wanted to talk about. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay. It relates to this really brilliant thing somebody told me a long time ago. I said that I think I want to have the ambition to change the things I want to change, the serenity to accept the things I can't change, and then the wisdom to understand the difference. And so this is part of that. We need to understand what is it that we can actually affect, what is it that we cannot affect, and then be able to distinguish that. And then we don't spin our wheels and get frustrated. Okay. These materials are right here in terms of learning materials. Please give us some more information about who you want to talk to. I'm really curious how people are and how you think they can have impact. And I'll add you to this material set that we're producing. This is something that all the people in the senior council got together to create a learning library. So anybody who found any material can put it here. And this is going to be helpful for anybody leading a learning course. Okay. All right, and hopefully it's helpful for you for also finding some LinkedIn material. Great stuff. Any other questions right now?
Not for now, sir.
Okay. Hopefully this is helpful, and thank you for the feedback that you shared too. I'll take a look at my OKRs and decide how I want to pivot them and get them more aligned. Okay. All right. Great stuff, Vita, and have a nice day.
You too, sir. Tomorrow night.
okay.
So Saturday I will be at the office.
Okay, so maybe we do our thing next week then, yeah? The stretch target party.
Can be done on Saturday or maybe Monday, sir. If we do on like the movie night, it's cheaper on Monday. No.
That's not a bad idea, actually, yeah. Okay, sounds good. Let's do movie night on Monday. All right.
Okay, sir.
See you, Vita. Have a nice one.
Bye, see you.
Okay.